I came home for the 4th of July. My first love smiled and said, "I never broke our promise." The fireworks were already exploding over the small town when I stepped out of my car, but the loudest sound I heard was my own heartbeat. I had come home for the 4th of July after 11 years away, convinced that the past was something I had finally buried. Then I saw her standing beneath the old oak tree, wearing the same gentle smile I remembered from when we were 17. She looked at me as if no time had passed, and when I finally found the courage to walk toward her, she smiled and whispered, "I never broke our promise." In that instant, every reason I had ever given myself for leaving came crashing down. Before we continue, if stories about second chances, lost love, and unexpected kindness touch your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to you. Her name was Emily. We had grown up 3 houses apart on a quiet street where everyone knew everyone. We rode bicycles together, studied beneath the same maple tree, and spent summer evenings watching fireflies appear over the fields. When we were 17, we made a promise that felt simple at the time. No matter where life took us, we would return to the town every 4th of July and meet beneath the old oak tree. If we were still free, we would talk about what life had become. If one of us needed the other, we would never turn away. But life has a cruel way of testing promises made by young hearts. After graduation, I left for college in another state. Emily stayed behind because her mother had become ill, and she wanted to help care for her. At first, we called every night. Then the calls became weekly. Then occasional. One afternoon, I received a short letter from Emily telling me she had met someone else and thought it was better if we both moved on. I read that letter so many times that the words stopped looking real. I never asked questions. I never returned home. Pride convinced me that she had forgotten me, and heartbreak convinced me that I had to forget her. 11 years passed. I built a career in a city where nobody knew my childhood name. I bought an apartment, made friends, traveled, and learned how to smile whenever someone asked if I was happy. But every 4th of July, I found myself staring at fireworks through a window, remembering an oak tree in a little town hundreds of miles away. Then my father called and told me my childhood home was being sold. He said I should come back and collect whatever I wanted before the house changed hands. I almost refused. Instead, something inside me said it was time to go home, even if home no longer felt like mine. The town looked smaller than I remembered. The bakery seemed closer to the road. The school looked older. The street where I had spent my childhood seemed strangely quiet. I drove past Emily's old house without stopping, telling myself I was only there for my father and the memories. Then I saw the oak tree. Emily was standing beneath it. For a moment, I thought I was imagining her. She had changed, of course. There were faint lines around her eyes, and her hair was shorter, but her expression was unmistakable. She held a small wooden box against her chest. When she saw me, she didn't run toward me. She simply smiled, as though she had known all along that I would return. I asked her why she was there. She looked down at the wooden box and said she had been coming to that tree every 4th of July for 11 years. My chest tightened. I reminded her of the letter she had sent me. She looked genuinely confused. Then she opened the box and pulled out a stack of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. She told me she had written to me every month after that first letter, but none of those letters had ever been answered. She had eventually learned that my old address had been wrong because my college dorm had changed buildings. Every letter she sent had been returned to her family home. I stared at the letters, unable to breathe. She explained that the letter I had received had never been a goodbye. Her mother had been seriously ill, and Emily had been frightened. Her mother's boyfriend had pressured her into ending our relationship because he believed I would distract her from taking care of the family. Emily had written the first letter in a moment of fear, intending to explain everything later. But later never came. Her mother died months afterward. Emily had spent years blaming herself for losing me. Then she handed me the final letter. It was dated 10 years earlier. Inside, she had written that she still loved me, but she would not chase someone who had chosen silence. She said that if I ever returned, she would be beneath the oak tree on the 4th of July, because she had never broken the promise we made as teenagers. I could barely see the words through my tears. I told her that I had waited for her too, but I had mistaken silence for rejection. She reached for my hand, and neither of us spoke for a long time. That night, the entire town gathered for fireworks. Children ran through the grass, families shared food, and music drifted through the warm summer air. Emily and I sat beneath the oak tree just as we had promised 11 years earlier, except now we were no longer 17. We were older. Wiser. Scarred by life. But somehow, sitting beside her, I realized that love had not disappeared. It had simply been waiting beneath layers of misunderstanding, pride, distance, and time. I asked her whether she ever regretted waiting. She smiled and said that waiting had not meant putting her life on hold. She had worked, traveled, helped people, and built a life she was proud of. She had simply left one small door open in her heart. And I realized I had done the same. The fireworks began above us, painting the sky with gold and red. Emily leaned her head against my shoulder, and for the first time in 11 years, I felt completely at peace. The next morning, I called my employer and told them I needed to make a change. I didn't know exactly what my future would look like, but I knew I was finished running from the past. I rented a small place in town while I figured things out. Emily didn't promise me forever that day, and neither did I promise her that everything would be easy. We simply promised to stop letting fear make our decisions. Months later, I found an old photograph from the summer we had made our promise. We were standing beneath the oak tree, laughing at something neither of us could remember. I placed that photograph in a new frame and gave it to Emily. She laughed when she saw it. Then she took my hand. Sometimes, we believe lost love means love is gone. Sometimes, it only means two people were separated by circumstances they didn't understand. And sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't finding someone new. It's discovering that the person you thought you lost was still carrying the same hope you carried all along. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who deserves a second chance, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. You never know how one small act of kindness or one moment of courage might change someone's entire life. And before you leave, comment, I believe in second chances. Because sometimes, the heart doesn't forget what truly mattered. Sometimes, it simply waits for the courage to come home.